Hey guys, Mark Singer here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And yes, you've seen the title, you know what's coming. We are going to talk about the big hype releasing on Global Dokkan tomorrow. This video will be going up 10 PM UK time, so the banner will be coming out 8.5 hours after this. 6:30 AM UK time, that is 10:30 PM PST, 1:30 AM EST, and obviously 7:30 AM for Central European time. You guys know at this point, right, it's like the general time that global banners release, if it's not some kind of weird like same time event or special release or something like that, right? So banner drops at the usual time, 6:30. I will be live at 6, so half an hour before, getting everything set up, getting ready, and then we will be doing our live summons for Trunks. So hopefully I will see you guys there. You can get your get the summon itch out by watching the video, I guess, which is probably a spoiler for the answer in the title. But yeah, normally I do these summon or skip videos for every banner. I always say at the beginning, and so we'll say again now, usually this advice, of course, is aimed at people who are free to play or who don't spend a lot of money on the game, and therefore you have to be very careful with how you spend your stones. You always want to try and use them where you are going to get the most value. So at the end of the day, if you're a whale or a collector or you're just somebody that really loves Trunks, you might summon regardless, but this advice is for people who want to try and get the best or get the most out of all of their stones, right? So the Super Trunks banner is going to be releasing on Global, and the one thing I will say straight off the bat that makes this video a little bit harder to do is I mean, Global has made fumbles before, and this might not happen, but I would expect this banner to be slightly different because, I mean, if we look at the lineup here, so we have the new Trunks and the Gohan. I'm going to go over their details here very quickly in a moment. And then the rest of the featured units, this is the banner as it appeared on JP, is the STR Android 17s that fuse into Super 17, Int Majin Vegeta, STR Super Vegeta, and the AGL Trunks. Now, obviously, looking at this lineup, the STR 17s, not great. Int Majin Vegeta, actually still runnable, to be fair, on the right team. STR Super Vegeta and AGL Trunks, kind of useless without their easy A's at this point in the meta. Oh, and I completely missed out the Int Kid Gohan, but he's in the same boat. Sorry, AGL Kid Gohan, but he's in the same boat, right? Until he gets his easy A, not particularly useful in the current meta when it comes to the actual difficult events in the game. So that would mean if this was, even if this was a Dokkan Fest that was releasing, that was really good and was really hype, it would be a situation where pretty much only the new unit is the unit that you're going to want to be getting from the banner, right? Obviously, if you're missing any of the others and you want them for collection, that's one thing. But if you're trying to get, you know, the best units so you can keep your account at a high power level in terms of what you can do, not in terms of the actual power level of your profile, but you guys know what I mean. If you're trying to beat the tough events as they come out, the banner doesn't hold a lot of value for you, which I think is unfortunate. And again, is one of the big reasons why I think that the banner will change, because we've actually seen a lot of these units returning on banners fairly recently. So, for example, in October with the Halloween celebration, we got this fantastical Parade Dokkan Fest, which had some interesting units on it. But this banner had Int Majin Vegeta and the AGL Trunks. And these were two big units. Even around this time of the year, we were expecting that Trunks was going to come fairly soon after this. But yeah, two of the main featured units from his banner were on this banner. Now, there has been a bit of a gap since then, right? And it's not... Dokkan has done this before where featured units have returned like even 2 banners in a row. But these two both being on here, with the fact they're already both kind of aging units, is not great for the overall value of Trunks' banner. And then, of course, we also have... This is the Android 21 banner that was recently on both versions of the game. This was in fact the last Dokkan Fest banner before Trunks for Global, and this banner had the STR 17s on it. So these guys were literally just on the last Dokkan Fest banner for Global. So basically these guys have just returned already. Doesn't stop them being on a banner again, but if you're somebody who did want them, maybe you summoned for 21 and just pulled copies of them, or if you did want them, you picked them up with coins, even though definitely not a great choice for spending your coins on, but hey, if you wanted them for your collection, they've literally just been on a banner. So that does massively decrease the value of this banner overall. So we'll talk about the two new units. So TEQ Trunks leads Mastered Evolution or Android/Cell Saga for 3 key 170, additional 30% to Rapid Growth or Earthbred Fighters. Now, one of the things straight off the bat, sometimes new units are good to summon for because they give you new teams to run. And whilst obviously this team in its exact composition with Mastered Evolution, Android/Cell Saga, 30% to Rapid Growth or Earthbred Fighters, obviously no other character has that specific leader skill, but the Mastered Evolution or Android/Cell Saga are both existing teams in the game already that have 170 leads. And obviously even leaders that have like extra 30% to other categories and stuff like that as well. So that's one big thing for Super Trunks, where some other units you might want to summon for them specifically for their leader skill. This guy is not a necessary addition for your box in terms of the variety of teams that you could run. In fact, if you're somebody who's interested to see how Trunks performs in the game, but you don't really want to summon for him, you can quite easily make a team using another Mastered Evolution or Android/Cell Saga leader, and then just bring him as a friend, and then test him out in the game. You obviously just make sure every unit in the team is under both leader skills, him and whoever you're using as your leader, and then it all works out fine. You can see what he's like in game and, you know, make your own decisions from there. But yeah, I feel like that's a huge mark against summoning for this guy, right? Whereas when a Dokkan Fest unit comes out that's either dropping a new category or they're dropping a combination of categories that are, you know, fairly crazy. And because that's the other thing, right? Android/Cell Saga got some decent buffs from the worldwide celebration with like the Future Gohan, new Carnival LR and the Easy A for the Int one. But like Android/Cell Saga in and of itself is not a crazy category. Mastered Evolution does have some really good units in it, but is a fairly small category. So Trunks' leader skill is just really not all that crazy, right? And then when we look at what he does, pretty good super attack effect, attack and defense for 1 turn, immense damage. Then he gets start of turn stats, a bunch of stats on super, which is great. He has an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super. Can be good, always annoying when you just get a normal, especially when it's 70%, but at least that helps to trigger the hidden potential if you do give him additional skill orbs or you get dupes. But the biggest problem with this unit is he needs 3 other, because it can't just be him, 3, actually no, it's 3 or more Android/Cell Saga allies on the team. So actually I think because it doesn't say other, it means him, and then if you're running double Trunks leads, I guess you only need 1 more, because it isn't 3 other, so that is good. But you have to build the team with these specific units on it, so that then he will get a high chance to guard. Oh, and the additional, sorry, is also part of that. So the launch is an additional 70% chance to become a super and high chance to guard is when you have 3 or more Android/Cell Saga allies on the team. So what I don't like about this, and I mean this is what most people don't like, is if you give a unit a restriction where you have to build the team a certain way by bringing certain allies, it's not the end of the world, but like that guard should be guaranteed, right? With 3 or more Android/Cell Saga allies, he should have guaranteed guard. So you have to build the team a certain way, and then you still have a coin flip chance that he actually doesn't guard and you potentially get killed, which is kind of annoying. Then yeah, he does get attack and defense on super. Attacks effective against all types when there's a cell, which I mean, not a common thing, but it's not exactly the craziest condition. If you're missing out on it, you know, super effective is nice, but doesn't suddenly mean the difference between him being good or bad. Then he gets an active skill after he's attacked 5 times. So as long as you have the allies for him to get the extra attack, even if it's not a super, you can get this by his 3rd appearance, because he will have always done 5 attacks. He does his attack, he does the guaranteed additional even if it's a normal, and then on his 2nd appearance, he has an active skill that you can use on turn 3 when HP is 60% or more, I guess as long as you get that, right? Then he can transform on turn 5. When he becomes Super Trunks, it's a whole nother story, right? Super Trunks is actually really good. He's very powerful, does really high attack stats, has pretty high raw defense, has guaranteed guard for 3 turns once he transforms. And then he has an active skill that can be used straight away as long as HP is 60% or more, which is basically the androids or Pycon like Ghost Usher ability, right? So all the 1 targeted enemy's attacks are completely removed for the entire turn. And this is where Trunks can absolutely go crazy, right? He's a unit that you need him to survive at the beginning, but then once he transforms, I mean, if you're running double Trunks and you have 1 on 1 rotation, 1 on the other, once you get to the point where they're transforming, the enemy doesn't get to attack you for 2 turns in a row. So depending on how you've built the team, Trunks and the other units on there are going to be dishing out a ton of damage during those two turns, and you potentially just win the event before he even gets a chance to get attacked. But then even if he does, he has guaranteed guard on that next appearance. So Super Trunks is actually really, really good. It's Super Saiyan Trunks that is the issue. So obviously, I'll be summoning, you know, I'm not going to go crazy. I'll get my 1 copy. If we get him really early, maybe I'll drop a couple of extra multis, but I'm not going to be chasing dupes or anything like that if it takes me a decent amount of stones to pull the first copy. And we'll try him out on a bunch of teams, and you guys will see what I mean. And like I said, you can always run him as a friend by running your own Android/Cell Saga or Mastered Evolution leader yourself, right? And then, unfortunately, the other thing that reduces the value of his banner significantly is the side banner unit Gohan. By reading his kit, it doesn't seem like he would be completely terrible, but the feedback from the JP players when this stuff dropped is that he is awful. So he greatly raises attack, which is an infinite stack, does supreme damage. He recovers HP at the start of the turn, and he recovers a pretty large amount if you're at 40% or less, although it's once only, which is cool. Attack and defense 140, additional 140 when forming a super. He gets an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super as long as your HP is 70% or more. Then he gets 1 key and 20% defense up to 5 and 100% with each attack received. And he gives Heavenly Events and Mastered Evolution category allies 2 key and 30% defense. So he has to build up by getting hit. But in the current meta, especially with how hard the events are from the Dismal Future Red Zone, like a unit that needs to build up defense by getting hit, but is not starting out at a particularly great level of defense, is just going to get absolutely torn to shreds. Like reading his kit, he seems good, right? If you just take into account stats at the start of turn, stats on super, a little bit of healing, some build up, and then support. That's all well and good, but just the actual numbers that he does, not particularly great. And of course, apart from building up some extra defense, he has no defensive tech outside of a raw defense stat. So even if he takes 2 or 3 hits, if he then takes a super from some of these big bosses, he's just straight up getting killed, which is unfortunate, right? So not the greatest unit, not the greatest side banner unit for, I mean, he makes sense for Trunks' team, but he's just not the best unit overall. So when we go back to look at the banner again, as it was on JP, even if you really want the Trunks, he is the only real unit of value on the banner. Again, Majin Vegeta is still usable. Super Vegeta, Trunks, and Gohan, obviously not usable now, but could get an easy A, but that means nothing for now. That's an investment for the future, right? So if you do a bunch of summons and you pull those 3 units, you're not going to come away super happy because, oh, well, at least they'll get an easy A eventually and they might be good, right? So even if you want the Trunks, he is the only unit of value on the banner unless they actually change it. So will they change it? Who knows? We thought that maybe with God Goku not being on the Halloween banner, they could put him on here as a way to try and draw in hype. He was on the banner that followed after this, where it was like the extra filler Dokkan Fest banner. There's no page for it up on the wiki, but he has returned at least now on Global to the point where he was summonable and available with coins. But even so, I think maybe putting him on this banner would be a good way to draw in people to do extra summons. Because even some of the Dokkan Fests that they could put on here that could return, like units like Bardock, Turles, they're probably not going to draw a huge amount of extra hype. Int Yamcha is still pretty good, but probably doesn't get people like super excited. We're not going to see like the Golden Week Dokkan Fest on there or anything like that. So hopefully they do change his banner, but even if they do, there's not really a huge opportunity to change it for something hype, right? Like Kale just came back on Android 21's banner as well with the STR17s, so I don't think it's very likely that it would be her. So the banner is just not going to be particularly hype. Now, if you are somebody who does want to summon regardless, obviously we do have confirmation. Shout out to Proton on Twitter. We do, of course, have confirmation from the data download that there are going to be Dokkan Fest tickets. In fact, I think it's already in the news, isn't it? When you look at the actual celebration info, it says that the Trunks banner is coming out, and then the next entry in the news is obviously the packs, right? You've got the banner coming out with the date, which if you're on Global, of course, like it'll be your local time. So if you check it in the app, it says when the Dokkan Festival is coming out. And then underneath that, it has the Training for Excellence packs, which released at the same time. and they will be the tickets for the banner. So if you're somebody who does usually summon on everything, if you're a collector or a bit of a whale or something like that, then obviously the ticket packs are always good to go for, because they are better value than just buying stones if you are going to summon on the specific banner. But, you know, if you're a whale or someone who spends a bit on the game and you buy the tickets, you're probably going to buy them and use them on this banner anyway. So I think it should be pretty clear. I did make a joke about it at the beginning, but with everything that we've gone through, I think it should be pretty clear that the verdict for this banner is that it is a very, very easy skip. The banner is very low value overall. The new unit is divisive, to say the least, and doesn't bring anything new to the game in terms of leader skill or anything like that, new mechanic or anything. And yeah, the banner's just terrible. Unless they change the banner, even then, I don't think there's a way they could save this banner to make it worth summoning on. So, unfortunately, this is definitely a big skip. I feel this is an easy skip for almost everyone, again, unless you're a whale or a collector. But even if you're like a mid-level, play like a dolphin, you spend a bit of money here and there, so occasionally you'll throw some summons out at a banner. Even if you're someone who does maybe like a couple of 100 stones on every banner, like, I just don't see the point on summoning on this, right? He'll return on another banner in the future, probably with a much better unit. And even if he returns on a banner with another terrible unit that's a banner you don't want to summon on, you could pick him up with coins if you really wanted him. But I mean, at that point, unless Android/Cell Saga gets some major buffs soon, I could see this guy returning on a banner and being outdated already. Although, funnily enough, he has returned on JP already, because he was on the Android 21 banner on JP. So he's already returned before he even came out on Global. And as I'm sure you can probably guess, you did not see a lot of people excited that, oh yes, Trunks has finally returned, I can buy him with coins, right? So, big skip. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you are going to be one of the people out there summoning, let me know why. And of course, I am summoning because, you know, it's basically my job. So I will be live when the banner is out. Like I say, going live half an hour before. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. You can come and live vicariously through me while I waste stones summoning for this guy. And then, of course, we'll put him through his paces, take him into a bunch of different events. I want to try and cook up at least one team where he could actually be good. So it'll be interesting to see if that can be done. But let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.